Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you a classic which has been nerfed for a few patches but which remains unbeatable both for its effectiveness and its speed. It's the Safety Overrides Hyperion. What makes this frigate so special is that its stats are similar to those of a cruiser in addition to 3 medium mounts and a system that allows it to teleport a good distance. But its big advantage is that we can deploy our fleet without having to do any management and simply do something else while the combat ends. However, there is a price to pay. The current setup takes up a lot of story points in addition to costing us a lot of supplies each time it is deployed and taking 5 days to be 100% functional again. In short, we must minimize successive attacks and limit ourselves to 2 or 3 enemy fleets at a time. Now, is this build made for everyone? The answer is yes and no. Normally, you will be able to do all the content and farm remnant with only 16 Hyperions controlled by the AI. The weaponry is also very standard and remains flexible enough to replace certain models with something else. But we should know that Hyperions are not easily purchasable on the market since they mainly come from Tritachyon. Some pirates can sell these ships, but if you are lucky enough to find the blueprint or an NPC who allows you to buy them, then you will save some time. From my experience, to feel a clear difference in combat you need at least 6 of them. At 10 they can complete large bounties at 350k without being supported by any other ships and even without having any losses. Before starting this build, there are certain basics that we need to know, especially early game when we don't necessarily have all the skills. First of all, no matter how we are going to equip the Hyperion, we need at least 2 heavy blasters to be sure to do good hard flux damage against the shield and armor. They are expensive in terms of flux, but the projectiles are really fast, which makes the weapons relevant to use on a ship with a lot of top speed. Also, to maximize the damage regardless of the distance, we will put them next to each other. Then, our third weapon is going to be the ion cannon because we don't necessarily have the flux dissipation for the ion pulsar at the very beginning. It's only when we have elite energy weapon mastery and flux regulation skill in the talent tree that we will make a switch. The ion cannon allows us to have EMP in order to neutralize enemy weapons and engines and to better control our soft flux. As for the ion pulsar, it is a burst weapon which is both useful against the shield and also does EMP. So no matter what we take, all 3 weapons will have to be grouped together. During the endgame, we can use other variations such as putting 3 heavy blasters. This will significantly increase the damage of the Hyperion. Be careful not to combine all 3 heavy blasters together, but only 2 because the ship will not be able to fire often but will instead run away to dissipate its flux. The hard point in the center allows us to place missiles, but the build is squeezed enough for it to be profitable. This can work, but in my opinion, it is not optimal. Same thing for a ballistic weapon like the heavy machine gun, which doesn't cost much in flux but also doesn't bring much in general damage. For example, a capital ship that has a lot of armor won't really take any damage. It's better to specialize in energy weapons since we have a bonus with energy weapon mastery skill. After all, we have a very low peak performance time, so it's all about speed to eliminate targets. Now for the hull mods, they are pretty standard. Instead of solar shielding, we can use either accelerated shields or auxiliary thrusters. At this point, it's more up to your preference. Alright, now if we want to max out our civilian ships, we can definitely do something different since we only use frigates. The Hyperion has a sensor profile of 30, which is basically very low. By using the SMOD insulated engine assembly on all of our ships, we are able to give them an even lower sensor profile. In short, it will be difficult for the enemy to find us, which is perfect when we need to repair after an attack. The other SMOD will be solar shielding to protect us from storms in hyperspace. High-resolution sensors hull mod is used on all atlases, along with surveying equipment on 2 ships and efficiency overhaul to reduce maintenance. It's rare that I include it in my builds, but we need a starliner in order to have enough crew to carry out surveys and repair Hyperions. On top of that, 2 oxen must be there in order to have the maximum burn level. The other big topic is the skills, since they can vary depending on your objectives. As always, we will take navigation and bulk transport first. If we really want to make a fleet only of frigates, we will favor industry to be sure we have saved enough money in the early game to buy Hyperions. Then we put our points in leadership. When the technology branch is completed, we will turn 2 of our officers into mercenaries by temporarily removing officer management skill. Be careful, they must be level 6 with the right behavior and skills. Once you have paid story points to convert them, you will be able to recruit 2 new ones. In this build, we are going to do this mechanic to have 6 of them. It is important to have officers in the Hyperions since their behavior in combat without them clearly does not give the same result. One last thing, we don't take best of the best skill because we are already paying enough story points in the first place. If you have too many of them, you can remove officer management skill and take it to greatly improve the fleet, but it is not necessary to do so. As the current setup is very strong, the fights will be easy. All you need to do is deploy all your frigates, capture the objectives, and click the full assault button at the top right. And that's all. The main cause of some models being destroyed is when the enemy ship explodes, and unfortunately we cannot prevent this kind of behavior in the current patch. With that, I covered everything. This build really decimates everything in its path. A big thank you to everyone who continues to support the channel, and if you have any questions or feedback, leave them below and I will do my best to respond. Consider subbing to the channel for more incoming build guides like this. I leave you with a gameplay against 2 Ordos. See you in the next video.
For revolution!